Hello everyone, welcome to another video. In this video, we'll talk about blood pressure regulation. And first, the factors that determine blood pressure is to be learned. Blood pressure is actually expressed in terms of cardiac output into peripheral resistance. And the factors related to cardiac output are heart rate and stroke volume, as cardiac output is a product of these two factors. And peripheral resistance is mainly controlled by arteriolar radius, also sometimes by viscosity. And the arteriolar radius is mainly regulated by either vasoconstrictor or vasodilators. Now, parasympathetic tone will reduce the heart rate, causing bradycardia, and sympathetic tone will increase the heart rate, causing tachycardia. This sympathetic tone will also causes contractility, which will facilitate stroke volume. And stroke volume is mainly regulated by preload. It is the main regulating factor, or end diastolic volume, and it is chiefly dependent upon venous return, which is further dependent upon cardiac suction, respiratory pump, muscle pump, sympathetic vasoconstrictor, gravity. These have already been discussed in a previous video. And venous return is also dependent upon mean systemic filling pressure, or in another word, total blood volume. That means fluid retention in the body. And interestingly, this fluid retention is also caused by the action of some vasoconstrictor like angiotensin II. Apart from this angiotensin II, there are also other vasoconstrictors like epinephrine, norepinephrine, endothelin, and ADH, etc. The vasodilators like carbon dioxide pressure, histamine, nitric oxide, bradykinin, etc. And this angiotensin II, as we all know, by the RAS system, it will causes the secretion of aldosterone from the adrenal cortex, thereby it will cause fluid retention. And ADH also stimulate the fluid retention, thereby blood volume will raise and thereby venous return will be increased, which will directly affect stroke volume and thereby cardiac output or blood pressure. So these are the regulators of blood pressure. Now, how this regulation occurs? This occurs mainly by short-term regulation or long-term regulation, and some others regulatory factors like capillary fluid shift mechanism, stretch relaxation, effect of respiration, breathing, effect of exercise, and effect of emotions. And short-term reflex is mainly by some baroreceptor reflex, and the baroreceptors are mainly present on the carotid sinus, aortic arch, subclavian, and other major arteries. It is nothing but when blood pressure raises, there will be stretch on the baroreceptors present on these major arteries, and this will send afferents via glossopharyngeal and vagus nerve, which will raise the nucleus tractus solitarius in the medulla. And here it will inhibit RVLM, thereby it will reduce the sympathetic discharge and thereby BP will be reduced. And there is also chemoreceptor reflex. It is being activated when the blood pressure is 40 to 80 only. So it's not usually get action in normal change of blood pressure. And CNS ischemic reflex, it will also gets activated in very low pressure, that is less than 60 mm of Hg. So mainly baroreceptor reflex can be taken into action for normal fluctuation of blood pressure. And the long-term mechanisms are mainly important, that is by renal mechanism, renin-angiotensin-aldosterone mechanism, ADH mechanism, and ANP mechanism. We will discuss this one by one. First, the long-term mechanisms are all depicted in one flowchart. when BP is raised, the BP is to be lowered in the normal range. So there will be increased renal perfusion due to high blood pressure. It will cause increased renal filtration of sodium and water, thereby excretion of sodium and water will be also excreted, and pressure diuresis and pressure natriuresis will cause reduced blood volume, thereby reduced blood pressure, or blood pressure will be checked. And next is the RAS, that is, it has been depicted in a separate diagram. That is when BP is either increased or decreased. Here I have discussed in a decreased pattern. Then decreased BP will cause secretion of renin from the JG cell of kidney, and this renin will now activate the angiotensinogen into angiotensin 1. This angiotensin is secreted from liver and found in the plasma, and this angiotensin 1 will now be converted into angiotensin 2 by angiotensin converting enzyme secreted from the lung parenchyma. This angiotensin 2 has various action. Number 1, it is itself a potent vasoconstrictor, thereby it will directly affect the blood pressure by increasing the peripheral resistance. Next, it can absorb sodium ion from the proximal tubule, and thereby it will causes fluid retention, and BP will be raised due to increased cardiac output. It also helps in secretion of aldosterone from the adrenal cortex, thereby it will indirectly facilitate sodium and water reabsorption from DCT here, and thereby it will also help in fluid retention, and thereby BP will be raised. It affect on the thirst center in the hypothalamus, thereby evokes thirst, and this thirst will cause increased water intake, thereby increased water volume and increased BP. And it will help in the secretion of ADH, which also helps in water reabsorption, and thereby BP will be checked. Next, another control, when there is increased blood volume or increased blood pressure, it will stimulate the low pressure baroreceptors, and thereby ADH secretion will be inhibited, and this will cause decreased absorption of water from the collecting tubule, thereby blood volume will also be decreased, and thereby BP will be reduced. And also, when there is increased volume of blood or increased blood pressure, there is stimulation of atrial myocyte. This is a heart related mechanism, and this atrial myocyte will secrete ANP, atrial natriuretic peptide, and this will cause increased excretion of sodium and water from the nephron, and this will cause ultimately reduction in the blood volume, and thereby BP will be controlled. So this is the mechanisms of long-term regulation. Now we'll discuss the others mechanism like capillary fluid shift mechanism. When BP is reduced from the normal range, then less fluid transudation in the arterial ends of capillary occurs. This will cause entry of more fluid in the venous end, and thereby rise in the end diastolic volume, which will cause increased venous return or increased cardiac output, and by blood pressure will be again regained or increased to the normal range. When there is stretch relaxation, like if BP is increased, then stretch on the vascular smooth muscle causes muscle tension decrease, and this fall of muscle tension is actually fall in the peripheral resistance, and thereby blood pressure is reduced. If we look for the effects of respiration, during inspiration lungs are usually inflated to a certain limit that blood is held back in the pulmonary capillaries due to suction pressure or negative pressure, and this will cause decreased venous return to the left ventricle, and thereby decreased or reduced cardiac output, and it will cause again fall in BP. So during inspiration, actually there is a fall in BP occurs, and during expiration, in the same mechanism, due to the lungs are now deflated, blood will now go back to the pulmonary from capillary to systemic capillaries, and thereby venous return will be increased and cardiac output increased causes rising BP. So during inspiration there is fall in BP, and during expiration there is physiological rise in BP. Now we will discuss the effects of isotonic exercise on BP. Usually isotonic exercise causes increased in systolic BP, and this is due to effect of heart rate, venous return, stroke volume and vasodilation. Usually heart rate is increased due to isotonic exercise by sympathetic overactivity, parasympathetic withdrawal, Bainbridge reflex due to increased venous return, or temperature increase with local effect of SA node. And venous return is increased due to increased activity of muscle pump, increased activity of thoracic pump, and increased sympathetic vasoconstriction. Stroke volume will be increased due to contractility, heart rate induced stroke volume increase, that is called force frequency rise, and increased end diastolic volume due to increased venous return. These all together causes increased cardiac output, thereby systolic BP will be raised. If we consider the vasodilatation, due to these effects like adenosine, increase in partial pressure of carbon dioxide or decrease in partial pressure of oxygen, pH change, this causes decrease in peripheral resistance, and thereby the diastolic BP will be either unchanged or reduced. So isotonic exercise mainly causes increase in systolic BP, along with there is decrease or unchanged diastolic BP. So this is significant. Thank you guys for watching.